Hi, I'm Captain Chantel Mossing. I'm the flight commander for the 180th Fighter Wing here in Swanton, Ohio. World War I was known as the Great War, the war to end all wars. It shook the nations of the world for 4 years, claiming 20 million lives. The armistice was signed on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. Since then, nations commemorate that event with a moment of silence. That moment of silence punctuates the air and focuses everyone's attention to the service of our veterans across the country and in locations around the world. And those veterans encompass many different kinds of people who serve our country in many diverse ways. This includes the National Guard. Serving as a soldier or airman, these men and women hold jobs or attend school and then commit themselves to annual training and other rigors of the military and are cast as equals amongst the full-time military personnel serving our country, although this may not be their full-time occupation. The National Guard and its predecessor militia units have fought in every national war and campaign, so it stands that the Guard obtains its due for its service in combat and in serving its local communities in time of need as well. This day is observed around the world and has known many names: Armistice Day, Remembrance Day, and others. It was once a celebration of the silencing of the cannons of World War I. Now it marks a day when nations around the world pause in a moment of silence with solemn pride in the remembrance of the heroism of those who have served, those who are currently serving, and those who have died in our country's service. We don't mark this day as a day of celebration or victory, but rather as a celebration of those who made victory possible. It's a day we keep in our minds the brave men and women of this young nation, generations of them, who above all else believed in and fought for a set of ideals. Not only did they hold these beliefs high above their own goals and ideals, but they laid aside their jobs, their comfortable home lives, as well as their personal security, so that many more citizens in this country could regain a sense of security in the aftermath of the terrorism striking in the early 21st century. They exemplified the citizen soldier of today's National Guard, able to transition from the working force to the fighting force with grace and resiliency, able to tackle a variety of challenges throughout the United States and the entire world. They chose to serve the cause that is greater than self, many even after they knew they'd be sent in harm's way. And in this time of persistent conflict, for the better part of a decade, they have endured tour after tour in distant and difficult places. They have protected us from danger, and they have given others the opportunity for a better life. So to all of them, to this day's veterans, to the fallen, and to their families, there's no tribute, no commemoration, no praise that can truly match the magnitude of your service and your sacrifice. But we can offer this humble moment of silence. Silence does not come naturally to America. It is not in Americans' nature to be silent or still. You see, silence is something we struggle with. Our world is neither silent nor peaceful. Our American culture struggles in the midst of silence. Yet, during short-lived moments, our world struggles with war, strife, injustice, hunger, disease, and destruction. National Guardsmen have heeded the call and responded to the crisis of the world. These people stood out as our friends and neighbors in our communities: the lawyer, the truck driver, the sheriff's deputy, or the tax advisor, as those who did not stand by on the sidelines. They volunteered to train, sacrifice, and perform under pressure whenever and wherever needed. These men and women did not sit back in silence, but stood as one against a chaotic world to try and bring about peace. A life of service is anything but peaceful. The days are filled with demands of work, the deadlines, and the changing to-do list. More often than not, one's transition during annual training quickly becomes a demanding time away from the home life. Upon return, domestic peace comes with the sound of children laughing and spending quality time with spouses and friends. When they deploy, the day could be filled with other sounds, an emotional tear of sorrow, or the discussion of what will happen during a future absence before the soldier and airman return home. Motion is constant for spouses and children, and a life of service is never silent. It epitomizes a full life for the men and women of the National Guard and their families. Their lives are busy and noisy, but few appreciate silence like a National Guard family. Silence today is rare. Like soldiers and airmen in battle, we are bombarded from all directions with noise. Some people avoid the emptiness of silence and seek to fill its void with voices and sound. Others see silence as inaction. But today, this silence is a silence full of purpose and determined significance. Silence, like sleep, has a way of healing our spirits. This silence gives us pause from our hectic lives to remember and find a healing peace in our remembrance of the soldiers and airmen of the past. In this silence, we open our spirits to feel the depth of their service and sacrifice, and we honor them by silencing our own personal cannons to give them the full measure of our respect. The resilience of our soldiers, airmen, and their families is amazing. We work to help those who face the physical and psychological struggles of multiple deployments to become and remain balanced, healthy, and self-confident. They represent the best of America. Our National Guard family is strong, and it has remained so for nearly 375 years. And what about those veterans who served proudly and honorably without receiving the call to deploy? Did they not make sacrifices? Do we not owe them a huge debt of gratitude for their service as well? Ladies and gentlemen, I ask you for a brief moment of silence to honor all the moments, days, and years our veterans and their families have served and sacrificed our nation. Veterans, both past and current, I ask you to stand. We remember the brave men and women who have served in places such as Cowpens, Anaheim, Gettysburg, and San Juan Hill, or in the trenches of France, Rome, and the beaches of Normandy, the deserts of Africa, the jungles of the Philippines, Guam, Okinawa, or Vietnam, and the hills of Korea. And let us not forget our soldiers and airmen currently serving in Haiti, Iraq, and Afghanistan, and other troubled locations around the globe. Let us remember those citizen soldiers deployed in service to their country. Let us remember those because they paid the ultimate sacrifice cannot be with us today. In our moment of silence, we lift our thoughts, gratitudes, and prayers to our veterans. Lift your spirits to their families and speak with your silence. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand with our veterans. So while it is important and proper that we mark this day with a humble silence, it is far more important we spend all of our days rejoicing in their service and reminding ourselves that because of our veterans, our country still stands. Our founding principles still shine. Nations around the world that once knew nothing but fear now know the blessings of freedom. To all of you veterans, we say thank you.
You may be seated now.